Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that we've gotten a bit of an update to the Wuthering Waves 2.5 story situation, and if you haven't caught up with what has happened over here, this has been a bit of a conundrum, right? Where the community's been accused of being overtly toxic. There have been a lot of very harsh words, insults to viewers, stuff like that thrown around, and the overall takeaway is, yeah, this was a bit of a messy situation, right? And I covered this situation in the past. A lot of people can look at this video that I made and they're just going to assume, oh, he's just over here being toxic. The Woowa community is being toxic all over again. You know, looky here, what's new? And the reason why I made this video is pretty simple. This is like a bit of like a disclaimer, some context that I'm putting up front. You can widely consider me to be one of the bigger Wuthering Waves CCs, right? And in a lot of ways, the actions of the community are inherently tied to me. Where if the community is accused of doing something crazy, right, or doing something bad, then a lot of people will see that bad thing being done and then attribute it to me and then say I'm leading the community, right, to that sort of bad end. And naturally, right, that does damage to me, that does damage to my reputation, and of course, right, it does damage to the reputation of the game. And when accusations that the Woowa community was being super toxic to genocide were being thrown around and that they were causing all of these issues, one of the reasons why I made this video was because A, the situation was incredibly farmable. For one, don't get me wrong about that one. And B, because I'm also protecting my own interests as well as a content creator. And so it was kind of like a two birds for one stone sort of situation. And that's why I did it. Because how I would describe the Woowa 2.5 situation is genocide gathering up a bunch of trash in his backyard, right? Not dealing with it. And when he goes to throw it away, he throws it into my backyard. And I was just like, okay, let's figure out how this all happened over here and why I'm being told that I'm now one of the most toxic creators ever. So with that out of the way, Genocide has addressed the situation on his own in a 21-minute scripted video. I've pre-watched some of it, but I don't think the pre-watching is going to help because he kind of goes around a little bit. And you can see over here from the like-dislike ratio, I don't think a lot of people liked it either. So why don't we give it a listen and then give our take on the matter? Because I think we're one of the most well-informed when it comes to all the different sides of this issue. Let's get right on into it.
It is I, the god among men, the mint pick supreme. Only I may speak.
That's an interesting introduction. That's an interesting introduction, especially after the whole bragging about Kurofest, saying that you're better than other players because you're a content creator and you're going to stuff and that you play more, you spend more money on the game. I think he's playing into it, though. I think he's playing into it.
It's a joke, by the way. You guys have been pretty funny, honestly, I gotta say. I'll talk more about that later as well in the video. I normally don't care too much about what random people say in the comments because, I mean, if you're a content creator, you can't care about everything or you'll go crazy.
You can't care about everything, but you should care about some things. I think that when you reflect on the past situation where Jenna was referencing comments that he was getting, they were super mean, that they were super toxic. Those comments were actually very reasonable, right? The comments that I covered in my video were actually very reasonable. The video's now deleted, unfortunately. All these comments that are in my video that we kind of like verified, none of them were actually that toxic or bad. They're all deleted now. So this is the only place, I think, currently where you're able to get any context at all on the comments that he was leaving or the comments that were left on this now deleted video. So, yeah, they were all coming from inside the house. They were all his own viewers, which makes the situation even more messy. We heard Jenna talking a lot about blaming the community, blaming all of these other people for the mean comments, the supposedly toxic comments that he's getting. Let's just hear about where he thinks those comments are coming from.
It's Saint and 90% of his dick riders. Well, I would say his cult of dick riders. I would say 90% of the hate comments I got are him and his community, basically. He can deny it however he wishes, but it's not a coincidence that anytime he watches a video and dislikes it, suddenly there's a ton of hate comments. Like, what a coincidence.
Your video was disliked prior to me even reacting to it. It had 297 comments critiquing it prior to me even reacting to it. The critiques that you crashed out over were already there. This crash out happened before I made my video. I don't know where the blame is coming from. But don't worry, there's more.
Yeah, a majority of the comments are absolutely ridiculous. Like, you look at them and it's like, what the actual fuck? Like, they're just complete bad actors, obviously. Mostly spread from Saints community, well, obviously. Double down and stoke the flames? Well, there's just really no point to. And there's also one thing that I made a mistake on, for sure.
So yeah, that's the accountability, ladies and gentlemen.
And even here, I'm not too broken up about it, but I want to clear some things up and also fix a mistake that I made. I know, even God himself can make a mistake. An apology, if you will, for something that I said, and you know, I definitely made a mistake. At least one, maybe more. Yes, I know. Even the honored one, above all, can still make mistakes. I basically get insulted all day long, even on stream anyways, and YouTube comments say some of the most vile stuff I've ever seen on the internet, but at least usually most of the good criticism floats to the top. But this was a little bit of an exception. I decided I would actually...
To provide some additional context over here.
I don't care what they think, they're retarded. Do not care. Curl bots are a waste of breath, bro. They're worthless. I do not care what those people think. I haven't even looked at the comments. I have a bunch of notifications on YouTube. Do not care what they think.
I think that's kind of like where a lot of the situation came to a head, right? We're calling people retarded. We're saying that they're a waste of breath, but we're also admitting to not reading any of the comments. And so it's kind of like a weird situation, right? Like, how do you know they're retarded unless you read them? But then you're also saying that the comments were the most vile thing ever. But then, like, good criticism flowed to the top. But then you never read them, right? So it's kind of like a whole situation of, we already know, we've double-checked ourselves, right? We went into his comment section, and then we saw that none of the comments were, like, actually that bad. They were, like, the worst one was him getting called a clapped walnut. No amount of good storytelling can save a clapped CC that has the attention span of a walnut. That was the worst comment we saw. And when this is the worst one, I wouldn't consider this to be like the most vile, toxic shit in the space. And then everything else was like very kindly worded and was just like constructive criticism. You can see right over here, this is the second top upvoted one. I think that we're getting the apology off in this video, right? I don't think we're getting off to a very strong start in this apology. And unfortunately, I think that what this apology kind of is telling me in the first couple of minutes is that he hasn't gone out and watched any of these videos or recapped on the situation particularly much. Because if he did that, he would know what is making people upset. And he's already gotten, like, let's just say that I don't think that this whole, like, talking about how vile the comments are, talking about, like, the suffering that you go through as a CC, I don't think that's, like, the right take when, on the record, the worst suffering that we've seen regarding this issue is getting called a clapped walnut. I'm just gonna be honest. It comes off as a little soft. It does come off as a little soft when that's the only toxic thing that we see on record.
actually look through most of it. I also removed the previous video because people were kind of just missing the point for the most part and riding on a hate train, spamming out the actual good criticism, and also just being kind of nasty on the wrong video. So they can instead let out all their anger on this video at the end if they wish. I also want
Wouldn't the other video have just served as like the place for people to let out anger? Because, like, weren't they all just, like, gathered there in the first place? And so if the goal was to make a new video that would aggro all the haters and then congregate them into one spot, the other video was already doing that in the first place. And unfortunately, all it does is it makes it harder to verify whether or not what you're saying, what Jenna is saying is true. Because he's made the claim that the video's comments were super toxic, writing a hate train, causing all of these issues, not like, you know, not actually like good quality content, not good comments. Nobody can verify that now. And now the only record that is available of that video's comment section is this video, right? This is the only one where it's available. And none of the comments that show up in here, aside from one, is toxic. And so we're going in, we're making all these bold claims about what's wrong in the video, about what's wrong with the commenters. Nobody can see the comments anymore, and the only evidence of it, none of the comments look bad. I would have to say that this is, again, we're only a minute 23 seconds in. We're not off to a strong start here.
I wanted to make this a few days ago, but I didn't really have time until now. Well, no time like the present, right? I'm not here to make excuses, but I want to lay everything out. I don't care if you love me or you hate me. I just want to make everything clear.
No excuses, okay.
I had to write my thoughts down as well instead of just winging it this time.
I think we can play up the speed a little bit. Otherwise, we're going to be here for about 17 hours.
So you don't mistake my words too much either, or I don't make any mistakes rather. It's very different to do a video than a random stream since you actually choose what goes out there and exactly how people perceive you.
Okay, did we just say we weren't going to make excuses? Okay. Wait, why does this sound like an excuse?
If you can watch a literal terrorist backstory with an eye patch and end up understanding her backstory and even loving her, then surely you can listen to my simple explanation here in this video, right?
Okay. Why do we come off as like condescending to the viewer? Wait, like why are we like like isn't this an apology video? Is this actually an apology video? I guess he's learning another thing from Mr. Pokey. How to not apologize properly.
No, but seriously, let's just clear up everything, shall we? Let's go from the top. Let's also preface that I generally play for the gameplay with most of these gacha games. It's probably around 80% of the reason I play these games, minimum. Let's start with the story rating video. I
guess the whole like no excuses thing at the start of the vid was kind of just like a soft lie, because that right there literally was an excuse. I play these games mainly for gameplay, which is like an excuse for the whole like lack of story attention. I'm assuming that.
Gave it a 7 out of 10. A grave crime, I know. For the record, I actually like 2.4 a lot more. However, the scale I used was 5 out of 10 is average or mid, as most people would call it. 6 is ite, 7 is good, 8 is great, 9 is amazing, and 10 is a masterpiece, which I believe I did say before and I prefaced. But people were really not happy about that.
I don't think anyone was particularly... I think that this is kind of like the first big miss. Or really, no, there have been a couple of big misses already. I think this puts a cap on it. That I don't think Jenna has actually kept up with any of the discourse at all. And maybe actually hasn't read any of the comments. Because it hasn't been about the score. It's never really been about the score. This whole situation did not blow up until one thing happened. This whole situation was super down low, super low key. They're about 10 minutes, right? Or they're about 100 comments on his video at this point. I think we can actually see in here how many comments this video had prior, right? It wasn't a massive number. I think it was at like 200, 300 something. I wish I could check in the video. It had 287 at the time that we recorded this 4 days ago. This was not like a major issue. And what turned it into a major issue was this.
Because I yapped during story, I don't care what they think, they're retarded. Do not care.
It's and then
about
this.
Things that matter. You know what? Why am I being invited to fucking Curl Fest and they aren't? You know why? Because they fuck them. Alright? These fucking delusional fans always online saying the craziest shit, bro.
That's why it blew up. Because we had a whole 1 minute, 30-second rant calling people worthless, wastes of air, too stupid to live, and this was what prompted it all.
Someone's mad because I yapped during story. I don't.
Someone's mad because I yapped during the story. And we went off for 1 minute and 30 seconds and said all of those things because a viewer of yours was upset that you were yapping and not focusing on the story. The input did not equate to the output. This was like putting in 1 orange into your juicer and getting 1 gallon of orange juice. There was too much work being done. There wasn't enough to be this mad about. And then people saw this insane overreaction to your own viewers telling you that they just wanted you to focus up more for the story like you did with other games. That's kind of it. And then getting this absurd, crazy reaction, getting called worthless, getting called a waste of air, getting told that you're too stupid to live, is why people are upset. It's not because of a 7 out of 10. You would even notice over here, he doesn't even say, somebody's mad about your 7 out of 10. It's because he wasn't paying attention. He even says in the vid,
Someone's mad because I yapped during story. I don't care.
That's not because of the 7 out of 10. The crash out over here is because of the 7 out of 10. It's never been about the 7 out of 10. And when we start off this video, going back to the 7 out of 10 that we verified, we did a control F in his comment section, and we didn't see the 7 out of 10 rating mentioned a single time as a point of critique. We control F'd the entire 287 comment section, and not a single one referenced the 7 out of 10 score. And I feel like Jenna could have simply just watched this video and gotten a real-time, 100% accurate, or actually at least 95% accurate breakdown of why people are upset with him. And this would have made the structure, the design of this, because clearly he scripted this, just so much more impactful. Because right now he's addressing concerns. He's defending something that a few people, but nobody, as far as we could see in this comment section, was even critiquing. This seems misguided.
Many people said I didn't pay enough attention, or I'm wrong about things, etc. So let's look at this in two different ways.
But he does address it over here, right? He addresses the whole not paying attention part, but he led with the 7 out of 10, which is like, brother, we've established that's not the reason why.
One is that I understood everything, and one is where I missed some of the information. In either case, I believe my opinion is as valid as anyone else's, by the way, even if many don't really want to accept that. So in the instance that I did understand...
And I guess this is where it gets worse. You remember how I said pre-watching this wasn't going to help? That's because I got about 3 to 4 minutes into this video, and then I started asking myself, what the fuck are we even talking about anymore? And this is the moment where I was like, what the fuck are we even talking about anymore? So let's buckle down and get ready for the ride.
I don't really want to accept that. So in the instance that I did understand everything, then people are just being upset for no reason over my rating. They just don't like it. And in the instance where I missed some information, well, it still would kind of be the same way either way, right? It's still how I felt, and people are just upset over that.
It's because you said the story was confusing at certain parts, and then your audience told you found that part confusing because you were distracted and doing other stuff instead of focusing up during those parts. That was it. It's not about your overall recognition of the story. It's not about how you understand the whole story. It's because you said specific parts were too flowery, hard to understand, and then your chat corrected you, your viewers corrected you, and told you, during those parts that you said were confusing, you were like goofing around. And so they saw you blaming, right, the design of the story, for Lova, whatever, for something that they thought you were responsible for. And so they wrote that in your comment section. That is what 90% of the comments here are about. Simply just calling out Genozod for being distracted and then saying that those parts that he was distracted for were confusing. And to the critique, right? I think he's responding to the critique that he didn't understand anything. We can't play the video now. Oh, wait, we can.
Simple when you really get to the brass tacks of it. A fairly simple story, but it's made super complex with how flowery her language is, where I would sometimes be like, wait, what?
The only reason why you're having comments in your comment section about not understanding the story is because you yourself said it in the video. Couldn't have said it better myself. Sorry, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. That was good. So you see Genozod in this vid, right? Responding to this critique that he didn't understand anything in the story. But I don't think that there's any admission or realization, right? That the reason why people are making those critiques or saying them is because he himself said that there were parts of the story that he didn't understand. And the worst part about all of this, right, is that this video was uploaded 4 days ago, and the exact line of reasoning that I'm saying right now, I feel like I'm almost regurgitating parts of this video. I could, instead of talking, right, live reacting, I could just find a clip from this video and play it in response to this. That's how, like, unfortunate I view this entire thing. Making this apology and getting a W out of this situation was just as easy as just watching this vid. That was it.
Now, realistically, it's actually a little bit closer to the middle of those. I understand the story, but I miss some of the smaller details, especially in the middle when Frolova was talking, such as exactly how her sonorosphere worked. I saw some people mad saying, well, you know, at the end she's not actually dead, she's in the sonorosphere and other stuff, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get that, but like, I mean, she's, for all intents and purposes, essentially dead and in like a afterworld sphere for right now where consciousness is, but that doesn't really matter too much.
So yeah, this is where I stopped watching yesterday.
I later looked back over the story a bit after all the backlash, and I'm gonna be real, I still give it a 7 out of 10. I didn't.
Fine. There's no issue at all with that. I don't think anyone cares about the rating. But as you can see from the first 4 minutes of the video, the first fifth, the rating is the only thing that we're putting a big priority on right now. It's talking about how people were upset with our rating when they weren't. And then it's B, defending our rating when it was not really attacked in the first place. And so we've spent the first 4 minutes of this apology not actually apologizing, but just defending ourselves against critique that nobody made and not addressing the actual critiques that people are making. This is a rough one.
I didn't miss enough key information for me to truly feel differently. And realistically, a 7 out of 10 is not that bad. I said it was good, right? I just don't really see how that's too much of a problem. Can you tell me exactly what Galadriel said to Frodo in Lord of the Rings? Or tell me exactly what Erwin said to the recruit scouts before the final charge in Attack on Titan season?
Yeah, I think you guys get the message. You guys get the message, right? Do I have to repeat myself again? I don't think so.
3 word for word? I mean, probably not, but you understand the gist of what it conveyed, right? And those are amazing stories anyways. Well, the parts I missed felt like that to me. Not important enough to really change my feelings in the story or shift how I felt. I just wasn't as into it as I was for 2.4, which I enjoyed the concept a lot more than this one.
I don't think that there's any issue with what he's saying right now. I think that all of his points, everything that he's saying is absolutely 1,000% reasonable. I don't think very many people would hear the reasoning that he's saying right now and be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? We need to go fuck this guy up. He's not a Kurobot. He's a Hoyo. I don't think anyone would say that in response to this. It feels like this is just one gigantic straw man. And one thing that I have a lot of confidence in, if he had said the same exact things in his prior video that he was saying in this one, nobody would have cared. If he said, I know I was a little bit distracted on stream when I was going through the quest, I rewatched it on my own, and these are my takes regarding it. Yeah, my rating's still a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna be real, brother. I don't think anyone would have said anything at all. But instead of doing that, instead of saying we rewatched it, we called our viewers retarded, waste of air, and too stupid to live. And then started doing a Fortnite dance while talking about Kurofest and how much money we spent on the game.
Me fully understanding a sonorosphere doesn't suddenly bring it up to an 8 for me. I'm sorry, it's just most of the details I missed didn't really change anything. I still felt the moments were emotional, and I experienced Frolova's story as Rover.
At one point, keeps talking about the rating.
I said some of it was a bit confusing. A lot of people didn't like that. But what I was referring to, which I should have been more specific on, is Frolova's language, which is very poetic, flowery, and overly wordy with obfuscated simple things in a veil that would normally only take the briefest moment to understand, for me at least, right? I'm not saying that everything she said was impossible for me to comprehend. It's more just she essentially made it harder to understand every part of the story when she's speaking in such a more roundabout way. Does it make the entire story too complex? No.
I actually echo his thoughts. I think that Frolova was a little bit goofy in the way that she was wording some things, but I never got the critique, right? That I didn't understand her because I wasn't paying attention, because I was kind of locked in the whole story. And the thing is, his critique is genuine, but this is like a blind person saying that they can't see out of goggles. Is the problem with the goggles, or is the problem with the person? Because the goggles can be fucked up, right? The goggles can be fucked up, but the person wearing them is also blind, so they wouldn't know. And that's what people thought about his critique, that the story was hard to understand when he was on the record not paying attention to it. Because both can be true, but people had critiques for the person saying it.
But it definitely didn't make it easier. Fine to disagree, but that's how I felt. Many were also upset I talked over the story or would make jokes or look away while listening. If you want someone to sit there and just take it all in, only gasping at things, you came to the wrong place, bro. We aren't watching Citizen Kane. It's a live stream where I talk a lot. I'm constantly talking to chat as well, even during some of the most hyped things I've seen in stories.
Okay, It's not like every other streamer that played the quest was completely silent the whole time. It's not like every other streamer that played 2.5 was sitting there cosplaying a mime, bro. It's like we went out here, at least 10 different CCs play Wuwa 2.5. We're the only CC getting shit for it. And the defense is, you just want me to be a statue the entire time? Never say anything, just be silent? But nobody else got shit for goofing around and not paying attention. And the thing is, the only person that got a little bit of shit for it was Tectone. And then Tectone literally said, I wasn't paying attention. I was on a time constraint. The sponsor limitations kind of fucked me. I had to rush through it. I literally had to skip parts of the story. And then he provided an explanation, and no one has said anything since. Legitimately. I think after we heard the explanation from Tectone, I haven't heard a peep from anybody. And if there was a peep, it was just people joking that he skipped the entire story because he skipped one cutscene. It's a 21-minute video. It's a 21-minute apology. I will just say we did not use the time, at least in the first part, or the first part of it, particularly well.
Then there are those that I say I lock in more when I'm playing Limbus' story. Limbus Company, right? Yeah, you're totally right. But that's because I literally have to voice all of the characters myself because they have no English dub. So I have to concentrate the entire time, right? And for me, I play Wuthering Waves for the gameplay. I play Limbus Company for the story. It's a little bit different, right? Does that make my thoughts about Wuthering Waves story invalid? No, it's as valid as anybody else's, right? Opinions don't really matter, but they're all valid to some extent, right? I've never said I'm a professional story reviewer. I'm just a guy who plays the game, and it's unreasonable to be upset because I didn't.
Okay. Let me unpack everything I just heard. So, I guess we just started talking a lot about, yeah, we don't play Wuwa for the story. Excellent. Not everybody plays Wuwa for the story. There's a lot of people that just skip the story. It's just, I don't think it's unreasonable, right? For somebody to tell you, hey, if you don't care about the story that much, maybe don't try to give like a critical rating of it. Or B, if you know that your audience does care about the story, but then you don't very much, you can also just like lead with that as well. And clearly, right, you can also go with the third option, which is what I think Jenna did, would just say, fuck everybody else. I don't need a reason. I don't need to explain anything that I'm doing. And that's kind of like what he did. But naturally, there's a bit of fallout for that third option. You know, it's all up to what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, right, it's your own community. And it's your own community's response. And this is what Jenna's community wanted, was for him to lock into the story like he did with Limbus. And I think what he's doing here is providing all the reasons for why he doesn't want to do that. And I guess that's just the thing, right? Is he doesn't want to take the Wuthering Waves story seriously. Or he doesn't want to, like, I don't want to say, like, not put effort into understanding it. But that's, like, kind of what it sounds like, is, like, him saying he, like him giving his reasons for why he doesn't want to put that much effort into absorbing it or understanding it. Which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with somebody wanting to do that, but there's also nothing wrong with critiquing that somebody wants to do that.
I didn't like your story as much as you did.
Especially your own viewers. Because, well, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Your viewers are kind of like your boss. A little bit. Not too much, but yeah.
Now, I overall usually rate gacha stories lower because, I mean, let's be honest, most gacha stories are not really that good. The fact that I'm even reading Wuthering Waves story is honestly an exception because
you guys should be grateful I'm even reading it. I'm sorry, that's how this section comes off. Why are you guys complaining that I wasn't locked in? You guys should be grateful I'm even playing the story. You guys should be grateful I didn't skip the entire thing. I know he didn't say that, but that's how it sounds. And when you consider the track record, over here, and over here, oh, it doesn't seem very good. Oh. Do you guys get, like, why I feel uncomfortable? Do you guys get, like, why I'm, like, cringing a little bit? Like, why I'm cringing a little bit? Because it's like, oh, it's like we don't get it. Oh, we don't get it. Ah. God.
Because most gacha stories, I don't read at all. Everybody tells me that every single gacha story is good. If you're a fan of the game, most people will say that the story is good. I've heard this about so many different gachas. And every time I'm usually just disappointed. I actually put in a little bit of extra effort to read the Wuthering Waves story because I...
Chat, let me know if I'm off base. I should be the only one getting praise in the Wuthering Waves community because I actually play the story. It's like, I don't know, like, is bro, like, why, bro's like seeking validation or like a pat on the back because he's playing the story. Yeah, all these other games are like all a bunch of dog shit, right? Like the stories are so bad. Like, isn't it like, doesn't it mean a lot that at the very least I'm playing Woo-Wah's story? Like, I don't play the story in all those other games. This is an apology, bro. This is meant to be an apology video. We're a third of the way in. Has this felt like an apology video? The answer is probably not.
Want to try and join the story, and because I want to see what's happening. So I'm already kind of going out of my way to do something I normally wouldn't do with a gacha, to be honest.
Y'all should be grateful I'm even playing it. Y'all should be kissing my feet. You peasants should be grateful that I'm playing it. For all those other games, I would just skip that shit. Oh, this is supposed to be an apology, bro. What is this?
There's plenty of renowned series I also don't enjoy, and plenty of junky stories that I like for various reasons. I'm not some sort of professional reviewer. I'm not like Ebert or something like that. I have no issue with people who thought the rating should be higher. Sure, that's fine. Everyone has their own opinion on that. But I do have an issue with a lot of the people who I would consider bad actors who were basically just making things up as to why I gave it that rating. Such as having an agenda against the game, really? Or because I like Hoyoverse, okay. Or I didn't understand a single thing about the story. I mean, maybe they're just trying to exaggerate a bit, but still, it was surprising when people said, like, you didn't understand anything. Like, really?
I can verify from the video and the comments that we read in here, there was not a single comment on his video saying that. I didn't see anyone talk about no agenda.
Understand a single thing about the story.
Nobody was saying he didn't understand a single thing.
Or because I like Hoyoverse,
Nobody talked about Hoyo in this comment section.
okay. Or I didn't understand a single thing about the story. I mean, maybe they're just trying to exaggerate a bit, but still, it was surprising when people said, like, you didn't understand anything. Like, really? Also,
And it's so odd to be putting out all these claims of what people have said after deleting the video. It's really weird to say all of these things that people have said after deleting the video. And then the only record of where the comments are is my vid, and none of the comments in my video show any of that.
so it's a bit funny that the first story in this game that has any real moral dilemma or discussion leads into probably the most arguments in this game, because the first time Rover wasn't some infallible god punishing pure evil. There was a little bit more to it, right? Now, people were being so upset.
I think that's a good thing. It's they put out a slightly controversial story and that the community is having, like, you know, a back and forth regarding it. The only unfortunate part about this situation, Jenna, is that you're not actually in the back and forth. You're not a part of, like, the Rover good, Rover bad. You're a part of the this guy didn't pay attention to the story part of the war, and that's not related to Rover's characterization or the plot.
That over my rating genuinely confused me, because I said it was good and I enjoyed it. Hell, it doesn't even really make sense for people to be upset where some were just making up lies. Imagine you told someone outside of the gacha sphere, so this guy gave this really good story a 7 out of 10 and he didn't understand it. He didn't even try. Would the person even really care that much? I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, honestly. But now we can move on to what really...
You're right, Genocide. It's not that big of a deal. It's not worth calling somebody retarded, a waste of air, too stupid to live, and flex Kurofest over. I agree. Because you're saying over here, it's not worth getting upset over, but you got so upset that somebody said you weren't paying attention that you said all of those things to your own viewers. And guys, you might be saying, oh, he was only directing this towards the most nasty Kurobots, right? To the people spreading the most misinfo. Brother, he basically put in like scattershot pellets and just started randomly firing into a group of gacha players. He was like, yeah, I'll probably hit a Kurobot or two with this. And he had like a fucking 10%, like a 2% accuracy rate on actual Kurobots, and the rest of the pellets went into just regular viewers.
7 out of 10 and he didn't understand it. He didn't even try. Would the person even really care that much? I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, honestly.
Let's just kind of recap on that statement a little bit. Does it really matter that much? Who really cares? It's like, brother, this is like an apology video where we're trying to like admit wrongdoing. And then say, you know, like what we're sorry for, what we want to move on from. And then we just get a statement like this. Yeah, it wasn't really that big of a deal in the first place. You can't say how little of a deal it is after you're the one that made it a big deal. This is what it's like. You're growing up, you're like a 6-year-old kid. You spill your milk on the table because you have 6-year-old motor controls in your hands. And then your mom proceeds to slap you 3 times in the face. And then when you start crying, she tells you, it's not that big of a deal. You just spilled some milk. Get over it. The kid isn't upset about the spilled milk. They're upset at getting slapped in the face 3 times. And in this situation, Genozod slapped his viewers in the face 3 times, and then is telling them it's not that big of a deal, and to get over it.
But now we can move on to what really pissed people off. Let's talk about this. But let's start from the top.
If he's talking about what I think he's talking about, this should have just been the start of the video. And honestly, you could have deleted the first 9 minutes. Deleting the first 9 minutes and 13 seconds, right? Which is what you see over here. I think deleting everything we just saw and then starting from here would have probably been better.
A couple months ago, actually. So for a long time now, I've had so many people say that
Okay, never mind. We're not getting into the part.
I'm a Kuro bot and a Hoyo shill. These are terms everyone loves to throw around, of course. But it's kind of hilarious because I don't even play any Hoyo games, and I've basically shit-talked them for the last 4 years. I've been trash-talking
Has he said sorry once?
them longer than some people even been playing some of these games. Hell, I'm an OG hater. I'm shocked that I'm not blacklisted yet, since in the game Epic 7, I shit-talked Smilegate so hard and often that at one point they actually asked if I could change my thumbnail on my video because I had the CEO of the company in a trash can on fire.
Okay.
And I've basically said crazier things about Hoyoverse previously on stream as well.
Okay. So I guess to lead into an apology somewhere, he's talking about how much he shit on other games. And so I guess the thing is that we're defending, main word, defending against the claims that we are a Hoyo shill, which is an accusation that I'm not sure very many people have made, or at least in this comment section that we scrubbed and did Control Fs in. We didn't see a single Hoyo shill mention here. It was just loyal, longtime viewers asking if he could just lock in like he does with other games. It's ironic that this apology video is like so focused on like critiques that we can't see or that we can't even validate were ever made, while the initial reason we crashed out was to indict Kurobots that are actually our own viewers. I'm not gonna lie. I think we need to find out who is the imposter. We need to find out who's actually causing the problems, because Jenna, we can't just keep going around conjuring skeletons in our closet. These are all straw mans. We're not actually talking about the real issues here.
I committed the terrible crime of criticizing Wuthering Waves in any way. It definitely came to a head when I said Wuthering Waves.
I made the terrible crime of criticizing Wuthering Waves in any way. This guy acts like big woo-wah CCs have never critiqued the game before. This guy is acting like anytime you critique the game, you get into shit. I would like to think that Gacha, Smack, and I are 2 of the biggest CCs that cover woo-wah, and we actively critique the game all the time and get positive feedback on it. We're 2 of the biggest CCs that cover woo-wah and critique the game all of the time with positive feedback. What are we doing here, man? Again, this is supposed to be an apology, and all we're going to do is like piss even more people off with this one.
It definitely came to a head when I said Wuthering Waves night market was ass. And I still believe that's true.
And you know what? I don't think anyone got on you for having that opinion. I don't think a lot of people said Genozod is literally Satan incarnate because he doesn't like night market.
And I said Honkai Star Rail's mileage for Archer's Light Cone was fine, like, I don't know, months later.
And that's why people are upset with you, because you said it was really good in one game where it's arguably more predatory, and then you said it was bad in another one where it was way less predatory. You said one was good when it was worse, and you said one was worse when it was better. That's why people got upset with your critique. It's not because you made the grave mistake of critiquing Wuthering Waves. You even understand yourself why people were mad at you. And yet you opened up this segment with, well, guess you can't critique woo-wah. You just get shit on.
Those who watch me, they understand why I said this, but many people obviously don't watch me on the regular or at all. But it was just a cut part of my VOD while I watched a live stream and my opinion and thought at the time, right? It's because I hold the 2 games to completely different standards.
You could have just said this before. It was just as easy as saying this before.
Here's an example. A piece of shit PT Cruiser going 100 miles an hour top speed is fine, but to a brand new race car, that's trash to only go 100 miles an hour. So I don't really care what Honkai Star Rail does because it's a lost cause to me, and I don't—
Genozod, your viewers, people on the internet aren't mind readers. You're allowed to provide an explanation for your reasoning. You're allowed to provide an explanation for your reasoning so that people don't get confused. And when you provide no explanation for your actions, and then people find your actions to be controversial, who can be blamed here? Is it you for not providing the explanation? Or is it the audience for not understanding the reasoning you haven't told anybody? I don't know what it is, but this doesn't come. This explanation over here is like, yeah, people got mad at me. I didn't provide any context or information. It doesn't sound like an apology. It sounds like it's almost like blaming the people for not understanding what he was going to say, or not understanding why he said something when he didn't explain it. That's how this section comes off. He's like being condescending towards the person because they didn't understand the reasoning that he didn't give. Like, I'm in the wrong here because I'm not a mind reader.
I don't even play it or like it anymore. Why do I care how bad it gets? The players accepted slop and they shall receive. In the moment I talked about it and I said it's fine. I hold Wuthering Waves to a higher standard because I like the game. Because if it starts to do things I see as problematic, obviously I'd be unhappy and say that isn't good.
And you know how easy it is? Is that somebody clips that and then sends it over to people. And then people see you comparing the two games. Then they see the explanation afterwards. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. But why is it, Jenna, that there's never a clip of the explanation of the context that magically makes this situation okay? But there's only ever the clip that causes controversy. But there's never the clip of the explanation. Because I don't think those are actually ever given. Because you want to know who's sending me these clips? Jenna, it's your own viewers. And your own viewers validate with me during my stream that you don't give these explanations. You just say whatever you say.
If HSR fucks up again, who cares? You can call it hypocritical, but that's how I view it. Why care about a game I dislike and want to bring up how to make it better and have an issue with it? I only really have an issue when it's a game that I actually enjoy that's, I think, going down the wrong path in certain ways or doing things that I think are not good. No one is—
There's nothing wrong with his take. There's nothing wrong with his explanation. It's merely that we say these controversial things. We have a good explanation for it. We simply don't provide the context and then get upset when people don't understand us. I think there's clearly an easy way out of this.
It's completely fair about everything. We all have biases, obviously. Honkai Star Rail's best is so low at this point that even garbage practices can be seen as normal, and the players have normalized and are fine with it. By the way, what a dumb drama in general. Who the hell cares? I can't believe anyone cared about that.
You want to know the best way for nobody to have cared? Is to provide a reason at the moment. Instead of saying something super controversial, providing no reason, and then be like, why do people care about this crazy controversial thing? There needs to be reflection, right? When something bad happens, or when you make a mistake, usually there needs to be time for the person that made the mistake to reflect on why they did it, what they could have done differently, and how they could prevent it in the future. And I don't think Genazod has done any of that for any of these situations. And it's like kind of leaning into defense, and it wasn't that bad anyways. For everything.
I think you understand what I'm trying to say, but this does relate to what's next and what just recently happened, right? Now, relating to the initial topic at hand, I said in my review, and people got so mad, which confused me. I get insulted all the time, but what annoyed me more was that many were trying to convey my review as wrong, or having an agenda against WUA, or that I was like maliciously not paying attention, or not caring, or rated it lower than it should, or just a lot of things along those lines. That was the real issue that I was having, not people saying like, no, it was good, you're wrong. Because like, whatever.
They said that they weren't that your rating wasn't that trustworthy, or that they couldn't really have confidence in your rating because they watched your stream of you playing the story and they saw you weren't paying attention. Which is like, I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the most reasonable points of critique I've ever heard. Imagine you're a chef, you make a dish for somebody and you send it to a competition, right? And the guy judging your dish is on the phone scrolling Instagram, looking up pictures of big booty Latinas while he's eating. Are you going to trust the rating that he gave your dish, regardless of what it is? You probably be like, if you got a low rating, you probably be like, oh, wait, brother. I think you was focusing on the wrong meal during that session. I don't think it's that crazy.
No agenda here, by the way. I don't know why people think that. And also, opinions can't even be wrong. They're subjective, realistically. People thinking for some reason I don't like the story for an ulterior motive is kind of absurd. For example, me thinking Rover was a bitch in the story doesn't mean I don't think what they did was correct or it makes sense. I just conveyed what I thought about in the moment after I finished the story, is that
Then why are you the only one that got shit for it? Gacha Smack literally uploaded a Rover calling uploaded a video calling Rover the biggest L ever, and it's incredibly well received. It's like, bro, all of these things that he's saying, right? I've been perfectly reasonable in my actions. It's everyone else that's overreacting. Look, I did this normal thing, and people are mad at me. Why are you getting mad at me for doing this normal thing? And then, like 5, 6, 7, 8 other CCs have done the exact same thing that he did, but then didn't get shit for it. And so it's like, Jenna's like deflecting the blame to the people reacting to his content, to the viewers, when the blame is here. It's here in the first place. This is the source. And the worst part about all of this is that the stuff he's doing isn't even that bad. And I think a lot of people have been talking about the pirate software situation, right? This is like pirate software roaching out during that one raid, where all he had to do was be like, my bad, boys, I should have stuck through. I was kind of a bit of a pussa. And then he managed to like blow it up to the point through like denial, through deflection, to where he got kicked from the OnlyFangs guild. And this is like, bro, all you needed to do was say, yeah, I wasn't that focused up. I wasn't that focused up on the quest. I was distracted during some parts because I was goofing around a little bit. My bad. I rewatched it. My rating's the same. Here's why. I made sure to focus up more during the parts I was distracted. My rating is still the same, though. Here's why. It's just that easy. But instead, we're saying it's everyone else that's the problem. I'm just misunderstood. The community is the one that's irrational here. And this is the apology video, by the way.
I didn't really like how Rover was or carried themselves, or how they basically were in the story, and that they were purposely in that story made to look kind of worse. So after I was annoyed by this, the next day I basically said a super ego-sounding statement about how dumb people were over the review, and that I play more, spend more, and I'm going to Kernfrost when their ass isn't. Which, I mean, it's still kind of funny to say, to be honest. But I pretty much...
It's funny to hear. And don't worry, I'm pretty sure people will be talking about Curlfest long after it's over, thanks to you. Hey, W advertising. People will be talking about Curlfest for the next 6 months. Maybe even the next year.
Wanted to piss people off because I was just so tired of them constantly saying this stuff. But the problem was, and this is definitely my mistake, my bad 100%, I either didn't contextualize it correctly or I missed it completely. I'm not really sure which, because I actually haven't rewatched that time that I saw it. I couldn't find it even.
Oh, sorry. Wait a second. Did we just skip over the did the apology just play? Wait, this is the one apology in the video, right?
I pretty much wanted to piss people off because I was just so tired of them constantly saying this stuff. But the problem was, and this is definitely my mistake, my bad 100%.
He said sorry. He said, my bad, my mistake. 13 minutes and 18 seconds into the video. We got our first sorry. We got our first sorry for this. And let me reiterate. This is the only problem here. This is the actual issue. And it takes us 13 minutes into the video to even slightly address it. We say sorry, and then at the end of that sorry, a comma, but...
Comments mad because I yapped during story. I don't care what they think. They're retarded. It's like, I like Wuthering Waves, but like, man, the online community is just insane, bro. Yeah, they try to pretend that they're so much better than Hoyo, but like, they're also shitty. Both can be shitty, man. It's so ridiculous, man. They always say the craziest shit.
That was it. That was the only thing. And it takes us 13 minutes to address it. And there's a comma, but. Let's hear the but.
I either didn't contextualize it correctly or I missed it completely. I'm not really sure which, because I actually haven't rewatched that time that I saw it. I couldn't find it even. Maybe you can just link it below. And a random cut clip of me trash talking doesn't really help, I suppose, either, right? Now for this, I do apologize, because I essentially said something I didn't mean to say, and it definitely sounded way worse than necessary as well. What I meant, and this is my actual thoughts on it, is that I'm tired of people trying to say I either have an agenda against the game or don't even like it.
What are the first 12 minutes of the video even doing here? Am I the only one thinking that? What are the first 12 minutes? This should have just been an 8-minute video starting from here.
Because I see this a lot. And my response is that I play more, spend more, and I'm going to Corofest, flying across the whole world, compared to people saying these things about me that I don't even care. And why the fuck would I go through all these things if I didn't like the game at all? Why would I put in a ton of time playing the game and farming and everything, a bunch of money into the game, going for characters and other stuff, and then fly across the whole world if I didn't care about the game or had an agenda against it? Wuthering Waves doesn't bring in crazy views and money for me. I don't play games that I don't enjoy.
There's a lot to unpack over here. So, this is my viewpoint on this. It's quite literally as simple as saying, like, believe me, this was a bad blow, right? If we were at like minus 20 before on the community scale, after this video, we went to like a -80, right? But there was still an opportunity to recover from this, right? There was still an opportunity to recover. It's by saying, yeah, I actually meant that this was directed towards a subgroup of individuals, right? Who are spreading misinformation about me, doing all of this stuff. But this is why you went on this crash out.
Someone's mad because I yapped during story.
Someone's mad because I yapped during the story. You don't even lead into it with any explanation at all that this is about people talking like crazy shit. This is about people making stuff up, like giving the exact reasoning that he's giving over here. And it was just as easy as saying, this was not directed at my viewers. Even though I know now, after reading the comments, that my viewers were the ones saying that I was yapping during the story. And so I misfired. I talked a bunch of shit about people that are regularly viewing my channel. That's a bad thing to do. My bad. I was directing these vitriolic comments, this hate, right? I was directing it towards the people that are actively spreading misinformation about me. Here are some of the people saying all that crazy shit. I should have brought up some receipts about who I was directing this to. My bad, boys. Won't do it again. And I'm saying it was that easy to recover from even something like this. And then just provide the explanation that he's giving over here. But it's like, even when we're like wording this apology, it's
Pulling for characters and other stuff, and then
we're just getting into this whole like, I'm putting in all this work. This game isn't even that good for my channel. It's blah 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 blah. Sometimes less is more. Like, it's just everything is like getting incredibly defended, right? There's like defense, there's an explanation. People don't want defense or an explanation. What they want right now is just accountability. What you did, why it was fucked up, why you did it, and why you won't be doing it again, or what you'll be doing to fix it. That is what people want in an apology. But then again, Jenna's on the record, and the last apology he gave was to me, and it was, sorry if I ever did anything that upset you. So maybe he's just not that good at apologies.
and fly across the whole world if I didn't care about the game or had an agenda against it. Wuthering Waves doesn't bring in crazy views and money for me. I don't play games that I don't enjoy. I learned that from Epic 7. I've been through those kinds of days. If I want to bootlick, I would be a Genshin millionaire and Paimon would be my best friend. I don't really care if people think I have an ego or whatever. I think you'll find me very realistic and very self-depreciating, if anything on the regular, but I don't really care to
It's deprecating. Depreciation is an accounting term that you use to record the loss of value of fixed assets as they go through the lifetime of their use.
convince anyone. It doesn't really matter if someone thinks that about me. All that really matters is that I'm sorry for what I said. Even a god echo picker can be wrong after all, right? At least sometimes. Also, I have no issue with being criticized, and I don't mean to demean those who actually give valid criticism, but so much of it was just
This is like the perfect opportunity to say sorry again. But we blew it. It's just, this was the perfect opportunity to talk about how you misfired and like called a bunch of people giving legitimate criticism to you, a bunch of like retarded Kurobots, and that you're sorry for it. But instead, it's like...
Also, I have no issue with being criticized, and I don't mean to demean those who actually give valid criticism, but so much of it was just
But it's a but. Instead of saying sorry, taking accountability. Like, using like a golden opportunity to make things right. But here's actually why I was right.
just straight up bad actors saying, and it was crazy. You just don't get it, so you are wrong. Or he doesn't like the game is why he rated it bad. Or this guy must love Hoyoverse because he wanted it to be bad. Those are the real Kurobots, not people who genuinely disagree with how I rate it. Funny how if I rated the game a 9 out of 10 and said good, I doubt anyone would have been unhappy, but a 7 out of 10 and good, well, that's not okay.
And we're back to the rating. We're back to the rating. When, even on our stream where we crash out,
Comments mad because I yapped during story.
yapping during the story would have been a point of critique, regardless of the rating. We didn't crash out over a 7 out of 10. We crashed out because somebody said they didn't like us yapping over the story and not paying attention to it.
Ah well, my mistake I guess. Now, the final subject I want to talk about was something I've said about Wuthering Waves community, and that I've said that it sucks. I fully stand by this statement, but with one amendment. And before you raise your pitchforks, let me explain why. I've played a lot of different gacha games. Hell, I keep up with like 7 to 8 of them right now because I'm a psycho. But I've never seen a more frustrating community than this one that—
Why do you just pull a 2-who sniper? Guys, it's not a flex to talk about how many gacha games you play. I can't speak about this enough. It's not good to brag about how many gacha games you play. I think that this ship has unfortunately sailed with Tohu Sniper's God of Gacha phase. It's actually cringe now to brag about how many gachas you play. Just so everybody knows.
That I want to like, but feels like it just pushes you out. And it's the only reason that I feel this way is because I haven't been in the Genshin community. That's gotta be the most miserable one of all. But why is that? Okay, first of all, what do I mean by Wuthering Waves?
Okay, so I guess now we're getting into like the blame community part. Okay.
Community. Well, I mean the people who chronically online talking about the game and posting about the game all over that are the rabid defenders and attackers for the game. In short, the schizos. Problem is, the loudest and most prevalent online are often those for many communities. I don't mean the people just playing the game and enjoying it, obviously not. Unfortunately, as any community grows, even if only 0.01% of people are bad eggs, it can end up making a community look foul to outside eyes as they congregate, and since WoW only grows larger, it only got worse. Which leads to the first—
What's been so bad? I'm genuinely wondering. People talk about how bad the Wuthering Waves community is, all the awful things that they do. Like, what? Like, guys, I'm inviting every single Kuro hater. I'm inviting everybody. What's been bad? Drop a link, put a comment. What's been bad? Genuinely. Is the worst thing that the Wuwa community has done, is get mad at Genocide because he called them retarded and a waste of breath. And then started dragging Kuro Fest nuts over his viewers' faces. Is this comment up here? No amount of good storytelling can save a clap CC that has the attention span of a walnut. Is this the worst thing the Wuthering Waves community has ever done? Is this the Toxicity Hall of Fame? I view this section as so strange, so odd, and honestly kind of damaging. Because we're going into this hole, this community is so awful. It pushes you out. It does all these negative, terrible things. And then we don't have a single example. We don't have anything to actually show. We've deleted the video that would represent this. We don't let the viewers go in and get their own context. It's kind of just, this is just take Jenna's word for it. He's got no proof or receipts. And the only place that has proof or receipts of this whole situation is completely contradictory to everything that he's saying.
Only got worse, which leads to the first issue. Well, for one, criticism is not allowed. It even sometimes feels like I'm on Hoyo Labs without protective people of the game, and you'd think they birthed it.
Criticism is not allowed. If I'm one of the biggest Wuthering Waves creator, and I just released 2 videos that critique the game, and both have 90+% like ratios, isn't that just, like, actually lying? Forlova's weapon is a massive problem. Kuro ruined Forlova's release. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is time for... Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's... Like, both of these have, like, either 85 or 90+% like ratios. And they're straight up me, like, talking shit about how the devs fucked up some stuff. Unfortunately, this is like a self-report that our criticisms are not well formulated. This is a self-report that we don't provide a lot of good reasoning when we get into our critiques. And we've built up a reputation. EO built up the reputation as bad take EO. Jenna's built up the reputation as bad critic Jenna. And so, naturally, because so many bad criticisms have been made by Jenna in the past, people naturally view any critique he has moving forward as, like, not really that good of a basis. That's kind of what the issue is. You built up a reputation with things like your metaverse theory, your multiverse theory, where you went on like a rant with Fobmaster about how if Kuro Games came out with Wuthering Waves first in an alternative universe, they would be just as predatory as Hoyo. And so we shouldn't be giving Kuro any props in the present. Because in one of Doctor Strange's 13 million realities, Kuro Games was predatory. It's like people heard stuff like that, and we're just like, does this guy have a hate boner for the game? that he plays every day on stream. When people hear you have critiques like that, like literally an imaginary multiversal hypothesis, and you use that to critique Wuwa in the past, people are going to take your future critiques with a grain of salt. And it just so happens that I don't think a lot of your critiques are particularly just well received in the first place. And because they're not well formulated, that doesn't mean that the community has a problem with critiques. It means you have the problem with critiques. And so we're blaming the community because we don't form our critiques well. This is another example of us making a boogeyman out of a game's community. And it's awful to follow up with this in our apology video after we're on the record calling our own viewers Kurobots. And now we're blaming the community again. We blame the community because of our viewers, and now we're blaming the community because we can't make good critiques. Watch one of my critiques. Watch a Gacha Smack critique. Watch Wuwa creators that take the time to actually formulate their thoughts, come up with good reasoning, and then present them. Versus multiversal theories, hypotheses that don't make any sense at all. That's the difference between the critiques.
Shockingly, the Reddit appears to be the most critical when it used to be shill central at the start. Funnily enough, Curl loves feedback and criticism. As a side note, did you know people thought a mail search function was peak quality of life and Genshin defended it saying it was a good package?
Okay.
Attacking people? It blew my mind when I saw that. Secondly, many people have a giant chip on their shoulder and everything has to relate to Hoyoverse. If something's good, it's better than Hoyo. If it's bad, at least it's better than Hoyo. If they stepped in shit, at least it was Kuro shit and not Hoyo shit.
We don't do this when stuff's actually bad. We point it out. Bro is absolutely just ignoring that people have made plenty of suggestion videos. And then saying nobody ever gives feedback. Nobody ever gives critiques on how to improve the game. And then just saying everyone just takes what's bad in Wuwa, compares it to Genshin, says Genshin is worse, and then never talks about improvement. It's just not true. And this is the thing. We're critiquing the Wuwa community right now. This is what Jen is doing in this bit. He's critiquing the Wuwa community. And he's only further reinforcing why the Wuwa community doesn't value his critiques. Because in his critique to the Wuwa community, he's also just wrong and making shit up. Just like he did with the Kuro multiverse theory. He's now making up that people never give feedback or suggestions. 83k views on a video by Glaive about the best feedback Wuthering Waves has ever received. You have to understand at this point. You have to understand at this point. The problem is not the community rejecting critiques. It is because this person's critiques suck cock. And even in this critique about the community, you can see the literal proof and evidence of it.
You'd think they had a nasty divorce with how much they have to talk about, and 90% of the reason I even mentioned Genshin or Hoyo in this entire video is because if you don't hold a knife to Hoyo, it means you're on their side. It's like a gang war over waifus. And if any WoW community members ever do anything wrong or be shitty, people say it's Hoyoverse fans trying to do a psyop to impersonate a Wuthering Waves player to make them look bad. Like,
oh, is that what we did with Maggie? Oh, I'm sorry. Did we call Maggie a Hoyo shill? Because I'm pretty sure that was the last time that somebody was on the record being, like, bad in the Wuwa community. And then the Wuwa community kicked her out. We're just saying shit. We're just saying random shit that we think is true. Janazon is presenting his headcanon about the Wuwa community as, like, fact. When everything that he said, I'm able to bring up literal proof that it's not real, that it doesn't occur. This is how little we want to take accountability in this situation, unfortunately. We don't want to take any at all.
what? Really, we're gonna get the tinfoil hats on now too? Especially in some of these live stream chats, you'll see people say all this like crazy stuff, and then people go, well, that's not one of ours. It's actually one of theirs pretending to be one of ours. Like, come on. Funnily enough, I've also seen this from the Hoyoverse community saying the same things, that it's some Curlbot operative or something. If you don't remove the extremists and acknowledge them, then everyone will view the entire community as them, whether it's true or not. Third, I want you to think about it from an outside perspective. If you looked at the WoW community, the amount of hate towards Hoyo and how rent-free it is basically makes the community, and by proxy the game, look worse to outside viewers. Remember
Proof? And this is the thing. It's not a hating Hoyo. It's saying one game is giving you a lot more value and is going to be more fulfilling than others. Diminishing all woo-wah content out there to just Hoyo hate is crazy in the first place. Like, that's what we're doing. We've diminished all content regarding the game to just Hoyo hate. That ship has sailed. Sure, you might have said it was mainly Hoyo hate or Hoyo comparisons earlier. After 2.0, if you've been keeping up with woo-wah content, it's kind of just stopped. Because people know who the winner is. People know definitively after Woo-Wah 2.0, Woo-Wah is the better game. It is better than all of the Hoyoverse games. It's kind of just like an accepted fact at this point. That's why people don't make that much content on it anymore. And so we're not even like up to times on like what the current YouTube metas even are.
Remember how bad the Undertale community was, or certain anime communities like My Hero Academia, or even stuff like Rick and Morty or K-pop or Boruto? It just makes people not want to associate. That's not to say that's all the community has, but there's definitely a lot.
You know what makes people not want to associate either?
Why am I being invited to fucking Curl Fest and they aren't?
Definitely more fan art and memes now than there were before, which is great, but maybe 5 months ago, or maybe less, 90% of the talking points I'd see were discussing the game were related to Hoyoverse. There's also no coincidence that the less content a patch has, the more drama, even as I say it right now. And look, I get the rivalry and all that, but the two companies are literally laughing all the way to the bank and hanging out, sharing ideals, and meeting with each other, so why is it even like this? Both sides will blame the other. And I guess because I have to say this, or some may see red.
How did this apology for us calling our community retarded turn into a Hoyo versus Kuro like discussion?
Yes, the Hoyoverse community is worse from what I've observed, but that doesn't suddenly make Woo's community amazing.
So this entire thing is kind of just like blaming the Woo-Wah community for a crash out. That's why we're spending so long on it in the apology video. Like, that might not be literally what he said, but I see no reason why we have an entire segment, like, blaming the community unless that's the reason for it.
One amendment I'd definitely like to add to my statement that I will say about Wuthering Waves community not being good or being shitty is that it isn't everyone. I think most people already understand that differential. However, if you don't lay it all out there, and even if none of the descriptors apply to people, then they might think it's about them, and that's another mistake I made by making it sound more generalized than I really mean. Yeah, I definitely should be a little bit more specific, but I think most of the time
Okay, that's the second apology in this 21-minute video. I mean, it's a good point. Yeah, when you're not specific and you just generalize an entire group and say they're all retarded, yeah, typically, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it works. I don't know why, but the way he's saying it makes it almost feel like we're getting blamed for being offended. I don't even know how. It's like, in the way that he's saying this, even him apologizing makes it feel like he's blaming me still. It's kind of impressive.
People understand when you say something along those lines. One final point I'd like to bring up, just because I thought this was one of the most ridiculous at all, and it's kind of comical, actually. It's funny that people were saying that I got, like, Tectone to defend me and I was talking to him about this or something. It's kind of ridiculous, and it's funny, especially because he actually came to me off stream before any of this, wondering why people were being such freaks about his rating to the story after he streamed it.
And then he gave a short apology, saying that he was super busy on stream. The sponsor kind of cucked him, and that's why he wasn't able to give the full story experience. And then, it's like Fallout 4, New Vegas 3. Everyone liked that. His karma went up. He moved on. Absolutely nothing further to be talked about there. The reason why is, Jenna, let's just be honest over here. And this is why I said he's done no reflection. There's a reason why, Jenna, everyone's saying that Tectone defended you. It's because you, like, walked up here, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong. It's because you walked up here and we're just talking on his stream for 30 minutes about it. That's it. You just walked on his stream. He didn't even want you there. Tech's on the record saying he didn't actually even want this to happen. I think he banned the chatter for saying that he did. Or the chatter apologized. But yeah, he didn't even want this to happen. It's just, but... Brother, it's like, I'm not gonna blame anybody for saying it. Because you're on his stream! This is really just what it is. It's because you showed up in his room on his stream to defend yourself. If we're gonna view it just from like a fact angle, Tectone and his platform was used to defend you. That's just a fact of the situation. Tectone's stream was to a degree, used to defend you. I don't think anyone can dispute that. I don't even know why we have to get into a clarification of that. I thought it was pretty cut and paste.
No intention, by the way, to defend me over something like this dumb gacha drama, but he was also in the crosshairs for no reason, and just because he really rated the story lower, which leaves
He wasn't in the crosshairs because he rated the story lower. He was in the crosshairs because he was doing things like skipping cutscenes and like not paying attention because he was stressed out from getting his sponsor done in like the 2-3 hour limit that he had and getting the main quest done during his sponsor runtime. And to do that, he had to skip parts of the quest. And, you know, naturally, skipping a main quest is going to get some of the fans of a game upset, but then he explained it later. Everyone understood. It's just, you know, it's just business. It is what it is. This is the thing that I actually respect about Tech in this situation. I'm of the opinion that Tech didn't even need to rewatch the quest or give a new rating. I think all he needed to do was just say, hey, the sponsor obligation kind of fucked me over. I wasn't able to give my full attention because of XYZ. My bad, boys. And then he even followed up. Bro even went the extra fucking mile. And he, like, posted on Twitter about how he was talking to Kuro about extending the sponsor time or making it so that he doesn't have to finish the story in the length of the sponsor. So he, A, made people aware of the issue. B, apologized for something that wasn't actually his fault. And then C, went the extra mile to talk to Kuro to make sure that the incident doesn't happen again in the future. I don't even know why you're comparing yourself to Tectone in this situation. Brother took accountability for a situation that wasn't even his fault. Said sorry because Kuro and their sponsor and the actual sponsor part was the one that fucked him over. But he said sorry for that. Then rewatched the quest so that he could focus up and give another rating, and then proceeded to talk to the sponsors so that it wouldn't happen again. I'll give credit where credit is due. This isn't even glazing. This is just the facts of the situation. The difference in effort and accountability over here is night and day. Completely different. And that's why nobody, after they heard Tech's explanation, is giving him any shit at all. I think people are going to recognize now. He actually did a lot more with what he was given.
me to believe that most of the previous things that I addressed don't even really matter to people, and people just care if you don't give a good rating, then they're going to be mad, which is a little bit lame.
And we're going back to the rating thing. We're going back to the rating thing when that was never the issue. We've lost the plot completely.
Out the moment you leave the gacha sphere, you see how insanely toxic it can be for absolutely no reason, I suppose.
Absolutely no reason. Brother, you can't be talking about how the gacha space is not toxic because somebody said they didn't like you yapping about the story and you said they were too stupid to live. You said that they were retarded Kurobots that were a waste of breath, too stupid to live because they said they didn't like you talking so much during the story. What do you mean absolutely no reason? Brother, the lack of accountability here is astounding.
Anyways,
I see why this one has so many dislikes. I'm gonna be honest. This is not a good video. This is not a good apology. But like I said before, when this is the same person who in their apology to me, their apology literally was, I'm sorry if I offended you in the past. What can I say, right? I don't view it particularly surprising. I'm not gonna say I was super objective during this one because it kind of just, I felt like I was getting like yanked on like a fucking leash everywhere with like I don't even know what was going on during half of the video. Let's just say this was not particularly well structured. It was hard to follow the points. And, yeah, there's just not really any accountability at all. So, yeah, that'll be that. Let me know what you thought about this one, ladies and gentlemen. We made sure to bring all the glue, all the receipts, all the proof to this. Because once again, like I said at the start, this is a creator. This is somebody who's giving the take that the Wuwa community is overwhelmingly toxic. And again, throwing shade to all Wuwa CCs, implying that they're cultivating toxic communities when he is the sole source of all the issues going on this entire time. He's blaming Wuwa community. He's blaming everybody else when the call's coming from inside the house. It's your own viewers. It's your own takes. It's because people don't think your critiques are good. Stop blaming others. And it's a lot easier to say sorry than making a 21-minute video that does anything except actually say sorry. It was said 2 times in this. 2 times.
Could you spare a second? Slow your pace, listen to the story of Carditia. She called for freedom, she yearned for legend, dreaming of splendid adventure. Will the prophecy manifest? Will I be the maiden who is blessed and walk down the glory path? Bring honor and brightness back. Wipe out all the enemies in sight. There is no turning back this time. Will it realize? Will it realize? Will the laurel be placed on my head? One day we shall cheer and dance, making joy forever last. Prophecy is nothing but a vicious lie. Here comes the growling dark tide. The more pain she feels, the clearer she sees. Halos of divine are fading. I can hear the bell of fate sound. It's high time to turn it around. I'll carry on my glorious journey with the blessings and wish by my side. Won't accept the fate that is set. There is no turning back this time. This will realize, it will realize. Truth in my heart never dies. I'll pierce through all the veils of lies with the silver sword in my hand. Divinity, blindfolded me, wrap me in ice like ocean's mist. I'm still that girl, carry the hopes. I'll break the shackles, free the souls trapped in those dark wells. Nothing can stop me walking down this path, bringing honor and blessings back. Won't accept the fate that is set. There is no turning back this time. Will it be true? Will it be true? Be a closure for this myth book. One day we shall cheer and dance, making joy forever last.
All right, and we just did that just in case this video gets deleted too. Enjoy.